Good morning, virtual villagers. I'm Kate from What Kate Made, and welcome to my Mother's Day flower bouquet demonstration. What we're going to make today is a series of spring flowers in paper, card, felt, material, various different faux fabrics. Um, so right away, I'll show you what we're going to be making. So this is my little selection. Now, hopefully I'm going to get through all of these today, but we may not. Um, the ones we can't do, I'll put videos on my website, which is just up on your screen now, and later on you can go and have a look at them. So this, whoops, can you see? These are my flowers. Now I'll show you them individually so you can see what we're going to be making today. The first one we're going to make is a daffodil. This one is made in felt. Can you see that? But I've also made one in paper. Now, the reason I did both so you can see they're made in exactly the same way. It's just the material that's different. I'm making some in felt today because I'm due to do a post box topper this week and I need lots of felt flowers. The paper will just dissolve outside, but that's crepe paper and that's felt. So those are the daffodils. So the second thing we're going to make is snowdrops. Now these are both paper. Can you see? They've got a little tiny yellow centre, and then they've got the white outer leaves, and then the petals, outer petals, then long leaves. Now these are paper. I will try a felt one as well. Not sure how it'll work with felt, but again, I want it to go outside. So and it's the same method for both, again, paper or felt. The third one is a grape hyacinth. These are my favourites at springtime. I have loads and loads and loads of these in the garden. Now, again, that one is felt and that one is paper. And the method is more or less the same, slightly differently in the way you cut the petals, but more or less the same. So that's the grape hyacinth. Tulips. This one's fabric. You'd struggle, I think, to make this in paper because it's a padded top. So that's the only one that requires any real amount of sewing, and it isn't a lot. You do a little bit of gathering stitching on the daffodil, but that's all. So that's your tulip. Right, the ones we might not get around to making, I have also done an anemone. Oops, you see that? It's made with crepe paper. Again, you might struggle with fabric for this one because you need to curl it. It's got little black stamens in the middle, which you can spread out a bit. And it's crepe paper. And the final one, which I like, but is a cherry blossom branch. Again, see, it's got bits of blue on it. We might not get around to making this one, but that one is very simple as well. So let me just pop those back in there in my little vase. Did you see my vase? I made that as decoupage. I think we've done that. I'm going to keep my daffodils out because it's the first one I'm going to show you. Now, as regards materials and equipment, I've already said paper and felt. You need scissors, a big pair and a little pair, because you've got some delicate work to do, but the big pair's better for cutting the basic shapes. Glue, so I've got my glue gun. You will need a bamboo skewer or a knitting needle. This is for rolling the stems. Some of them have paper stems, and I'm making these paper straws. I'll show you how to do that, the stems. I've also got green wire for stems. Something to make your paper stick out a bit, your crepe paper. So I've been using a crochet hook because you just need something that's got a rounded end that you can rub the paper with. Something to poke a hole. These aren't essential, but they're handy. I've got a disappearing marker pen. This is a gel one. It's good for drawing on fabric. And that's about it, I think. Oh yeah, a pair of pliers for just twisting the end of your wires, but you don't need to do that. You can do that with your fingers if you want. Not your scissors though, it'll blunt them. Right, I'm going to point the camera down. We're going to start with some basics. that are for every pattern. Sorry, my threads. Oh, that's the other thing you'll need: needle and thread to match your colours. So that I've got yellow, pink, and red, because those are the ones I'm doing that. Oh, now the sun's come out. Just bear with me 1 second. I wasn't expecting it today. I'm going to have to close the curtains. Is that better? I certainly wasn't expecting the sun today. We've had very little snow. It snowed one night and it had gone an hour after sunrise. So, but if wherever you are, you've had snow, let me know. So yeah, before we get started and bend you down, how about you let me know you're here. I'm just trying to get your comments up. Sometimes it struggles, my tablet struggles to, oh, there we go. I can get you up now. All right, so you let me know where you are. Let me know whether you've had snow. Let me know whether you're enjoying it, whether you're going to make a lot. Oh, people there already. Hi, Debbie, Rosemary, Kate, and Anne. So Rosemary and Anne are regulars. Right, so I'm going to point the camera down and we'll get started. Enough of me chit-chatting. Right, so you can all see my work surface. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to make the paper straw for stems. You can use pipe cleaners. I've tried these. They're not very strong. I would be tempted, if you're going to use pipe cleaners, to twist two together. So for your paper straw, what you need is a triangle of paper, green paper preferably. This is what I've done with this is made A4 into a square and then cut it in half. Cut the square in half. Morning, Samia. Now, turning it that way, depending on the thickness you want, you can either use your bamboo skewer or your knitting needle. I'm going to use the skewer today. We will need some glue. Now, hopefully my glue gun is not going to run out of charge today. I'm just going to let it warm up a little bit because I charged it up overnight, but then I've been using it this morning. So I might have to resort to glue stick, which is not very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this and we're going to roll the paper. It's always a little tricky to get started because you want to roll it really tightly. We're going to roll the paper around the skewer. And then every so often, as we go, we're going to put a little tiny bit of glue. You can use glue stick for this, you know, like Pritt stick, if you want. You'll just have to leave it to dry before you use it. So my glue's not hot enough yet, but I'll squeeze it out. Don't I have to glue all the time? There we go, it's coming now. But just every so often, and keep rolling. Just be careful. I always end up losing my stick inside it and then not being able to get it out. I keep rolling and gluing. Be careful not to put that down on my threads. So what I would recommend you do is make these first and make several of them. I'm just going to do the last bit is to glue along the very edge. And then if you make several in advance, you've got them ready when you need them. And there we go. And like I said, my skewer's disappeared inside. So I can't see it now. Let me just see if I can poke it out with this. The answer is no, I can't. I'll have to try something a bit narrower. It's because I've done such a good job of rolling it really tightly. There we go. Take your skewer out, ready to make your next one. So that's your paper straw. I would make it this length. You can always cut it to size. The second thing we might want, or we're definitely going to want to use, are leaves. Now, because each different flower has different leaves. Some of them don't have a different leaf. some of them are very similar. So I've cut out a selection of leaves from felt. That funny noise is my dog snoring. It's not me. So the long leaves like this are good for the daffodils and the what they're called, snowdrops. The tulips have a very long leaf, so I'm going to cut out some tulip leaves and show you how I do it. So what I would do is I would fold, I want it to be the full length of this A4 piece of felt. So I'm going to fold it in half to the width that I want my leaf to be, and then just cut that. I'm only doing a pair of leaves for a tulip. Sometimes they have more than that, but we don't always have time to do that. Fold it in half and then cut the tulip leaf shape. You do want to leave a bit at the bottom, a flat bit, because you're going to have to glue it onto something, so you want to have enough to get, you don't want it pointy. And then I'll turn that around and go back that way. Keep as close to the edge as you can. I hate wasting stuff. So that's my tulip leaf. Now on the blossom, this will show you why. The blossom has tiny little spring green leaves on it, and I'm going to cut them just a teardrop shape, and I'm going to cut them out of this spare because I hate waste, and I'm going to use every little bit of felt I can. If you're a regular watcher, you'll know that a waste not, want not is my watchword. I constantly reuse and recycle as much as possible. In fact, the fabric I used for the tulip was from an old duvet cover. Get loads of fabric out of a duvet cover and a sheet. Right, so those are leaves. So we've got there, and we've also got a shorter green leaf. We've got a long leaf like that. I'm going to cut another couple of them because I'm using quite a lot of them today. So again, I'm going to fold the fabric across for the length I want my leaf to be, and just cut that, crease it down the middle, and then cut my leaf shape, making sure, because that's not quite straight, so I want to see that, making sure I'm getting them both the same on each edge. And again, I'm going to cut as close to the edge as I can, not wanting to waste any fabric. And the same at the other side. Cutting it to a point. Got a few more people on, Hilary and Christine. So, cut right through there. Those are the long leaves in two different shades of green felt. Okay, so those are our stems and our leaves. Just going to pop them to one side to use later. And we're going to start with the daffodil. And I've tried to be really organised today because I'm doing so many things. I'm not very organised normally. And I've put all the materials in a little envelope. Just put my glue gun to rest there. In fact, I'm going to put it back onto charge because I've got lots of cutting out to do now. So for your daffodil, you will need two long leaves. You'll need a strip of yellow felt that is 2 inches wide, and this one's about 12 inches long, but you don't actually need it that long. I'll explain as we go along. You also need, I've chosen orange here, a pale orange. It's for the centre. You can do yellow as well if you want. That's about 1 inch wide, and again it's the same length. It's the full length of an A4 piece of paper. Felt, sorry. So the other thing you need is a small strip that is 1/2 inch by 2 inches. This is going to make our stamens. And for this particular flower, I'm using that's green wire. You can't see it very well because it's quite thin, but that is green florist wire. See it better if I put it on there? Maybe. So, and my felt leaves. So this is what we're going to need. Also need your scissors, and you will need needle and thread with yellow, preferably with yellow thread on it. Doesn't matter though, because you won't see it. And I've already threaded my needles because you know how painful it is to watch me thread needles if you're a regular viewer. Let's just put those to there. I'm going to start with the stamens. So we take our little piece of paper and we're going to snip it into a fringe. We're going to leave about 3 millimeters at the bottom, and we want to make our fringe cuts very tiny, about a millimeter. Can you see? And you do that all the way along. I should have done here's one I did earlier. I'm going to spend all afternoon making flowers ready for my postbox topper, you know. And I know this is to be a Mother's Day bouquet, but it doesn't have to be. And it won't be for my mum because she'll be watching, so she'll know what she's getting. It's never a surprise for her. Sometimes she just says, "So you make that? Can I have that? That was really nice." Now, I'm just going to take my wire and I'm going to create a little loop at the end, just because it makes it easier to start your sticking on. So can you see? I've made a little loop at the end. If I put it so it's my jumper's behind it, you can see it. There we go. I'll switch the glue back on. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll the stamens and we're going to roll them around the wire, and that's going to be our center. And then after that, every layer is going to be put on the center. So at one end of your fringe, put a big blob of glue and place the loopy bit on it and just leave it a minute to set. If you're not using hot glue, if you're using glue stick, you could start rolling straight away. And then you want to carefully roll it, and be careful you do not burn your fingers. That started to set. So the reason we do the loop is so that we get it's easier to roll it round. If it was just the wire, it's very, very difficult to roll it round because the wire is very fine and we want a bit more substance to it. Every so often you put a little bit of glue. Oops, we do get a bit sticky. I'm just going to put some glue on the end now. And there, that's what you got. Can you see that? So then you can just, what I like to do is squeeze the bottom of it, the bit where it's joined still, just to make it a little bit easier to put your next layer on. Just flip them out a little bit. So you can see they've got stamens there. Right, so we'll move on to the next bit, which is the trumpet bit, the inner bit of the daffodil, sorry. We're going to use our orange. I'm going to use orange, but you could use yellow if you just wanted an old yellow daffodil. And we are going to make a trumpet. So we probably only need about half of this. So I'll cut that in half. Put that to one side and make another one with that. Now you want to just knit little triangles out of the top edge to give you that sort of fluttery edge that daffodils have, the tubes have in the middle. And again, this could be something where I should have done a pre-prepared one, but just bear with me. I had pre-prepared a paper one and then changed my mind because I thought, well, if I'm making it to demonstrate to you, I might as well make the felt ones that I need, then I don't have to do them later. But as I say, the method is exactly the same in paper. Crepe paper works better than cartridge paper or printer paper, but you can use that. Crepe paper is quite pliable. You can make it into very different shapes, although it is quite delicate. So when you're sewing it, you have to be a bit careful. So I'm carrying on creating this like sawtooth edge. Some bits don't want to come out. Right, Rosemary's off, so we'll see you later, Rosemary. You watch on catch up. She quite often watches me on catch up. Nearly there. Right. I'm leaving a bit at the end because I don't think I'll need all of that, but we'll see. So there's your flowery edge. Now what you want to do now is take your needle and thread. So I've got a needle here, threaded up double and knotted at the end. And I do this because I find it easier to anchor it. So you anchor it at one end of your strip with the sawtooth edge. It does look a bit like a hacksaw now, doesn't it? Or a crown. We'll be doing a lot of crowns in crafting this year, I expect. Now, you just run, can you see that? You run a gather stitch about 3 or 4 millimeters in from the bottom edge. It doesn't have to be neat. I'm not a neat sewer. I don't do a lot of hand sewing, so I'm not very neat. And you just run your gathering stitch quite big. It doesn't have to be tiny stitches because we want it to be gathered, but not super gathered, if that makes sense. I'm going to just nip that bit a bit shorter at the end. And just put the V shape on it. So when we get our needle doesn't want to come out. I've got glue all over my fingers. I was trying to get it off my nails earlier. So your last stitch goes in nearly the end, and then you just pull it into a tube and gather it. Just bear with me, my glue needs to go back on the stand and set. Right, so then you, with your two ends, pull your gathers in and anchor it again, just so that they don't unwind while you're doing the last bit. Just put a couple of stitches through just to stop it unwinding. Okay. Then your two end bits, where it's straight there, you want to sew them together into a tube. I would have glued them, but as I say, my glue gun's just gone to sleep. My rechargeable glue gun is the best thing I ever bought until it doesn't charge. And I had to get the cradle it sits on. I had to be, sorry, I've got knots in my, bear with me, got knots in my thread. Don't know how I've managed that. Anyway, let's see, we can cut that bit off, extra bit off later. So I'm just going to run a couple of little slip stitches up this edge. To hold it together into its sort of tube shape. I suppose you would call this a narcissi rather than a daffodil, because it's I think the orange ones are orange centers are narcissi, aren't they? Not or narcissus. Okay, so that's secured, and then I'm just going to snip my thread and knot it again because I need it again in a minute. Okay, so that's your center for your daffodil, and what you would do is just pop your stamen through and glue it down. Right, so next thing is the outer leaves. Now a daffodil has 5 petals, and we want to cut a strip with 5 petals on it. And the easiest way to do that is to fold your felt. So you want to fold it so you've got about 1.5 inches, and you want to fold it concertina style until you've got 5 leaves, 5 petals, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 folds. Then I'm going to cut that excess bit off, and we can keep that because we can use that for something else. Now, taking your big scissors, we're going to cut the petal shape. We're not going to cut right to the bottom. We're going to leave about half a centimetre at the bottom, but we want a point at the top. And we're going to cut down in a sort of curve to, as I say, about half a centimetre. And then I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to do the same at the other side. It is a bit difficult cutting through all these thicknesses of fabric, and you might get something that's not quite curved, but by the time it's gathered, it will look like a petal. Now I've got a point on there, so I'm going to just take that point off so it doesn't look quite so, it looks a bit more like a petal. Now, if I've done it right, we should have, that's what we should have, and I have done it right. So again, take needle and thread, and we're going to do exactly the same with this. We're going to anchor it at one end and run a gathering stitch along. I'm just going to set my glue gun going if I can. And it'll be ready by the time I've run my gathering stitch up this. Again, it doesn't have to be neat, and they can be quite big stitches. We just want to have a hint of a gather. We don't, it makes it, the gathering makes the petals look more like petals, and also it helps them splay out. Nearly there. And again, once we get to the end, pull our gathers. Don't pull them quite as tight as you did with the trumpet, because they don't need to be. You want them to be splayed out, but we do need to anchor it. So the last petal gathers, that's where you sometimes find it doesn't happen. So what I'm going to do is stitch that gather closed, and then join it to the other one, the first petal. And again, I'm going to just pull the thread through so I can gather it a little bit more and join it. I'm a bit fingers and thumbs today, so please forgive me. That gather doesn't work very well, so I'm going to stitch that back again so that first petal's gathered a bit better. Now, it doesn't look much like a daffodil yet, but it will once we get it on assembled with the other pieces. So we'll just tie that off and cut it. Now that the glue is ready, I'm going to very quickly put spots of glue on this. So I'm putting a little bit under the stamens, and I'm going to shove the trumpet up till it holds it. And I'm going to put a little bit under the trumpet, put that back onto charge. And then we're going to feed on the petals. Right, my wire's come out, I'll have to feed it through again. Right, there we go. Now, if you are using hot glue, don't worry about all these little threads. You can just pull them off. What we might want to do is just, with your thumb, just go into the gathers and pull the petals so that they're pointing upwards a little bit. And there's your daffodil. Just all it needs now are some leaves. The daffodils are very, Christine's saying how realistic they are. They are very realistic. I've been crocheting them as well for my postbox topper. So, but these are more realistic looking. I think particularly the crepe paper one is, that, you know, because it's got that kind of delicateness to it, if that's a word. Delicacy, is that what it is? So with the leaves, you just put the dot of glue at the base of each one. I'm having to keep putting this gun back onto charge, and I know it's going to run out before I finish this demo. Your leaves want to be below your flower because they are. So that if you put the tip of the leaf underneath the flower and then just squeeze that around. And same with the other one. But you want your other one to go the other way. You're going to squeeze it around the same place. These are a little floppy because these are felt. You probably would have been better with paper leaves. But as I say, I want mine to go outside. So that is your daffodil. And that's lovely. So I've got 3. Now, you could just make daffodils. They make a nice little bouquet just on their own. But we're going to show you something else now. Next thing I'm going to show you is the snowdrop. As I say, I will try and get through all of these, but time does get away from me. I've already been on a half an hour, so I'll have to speed up a little bit. So for the snowdrop, you will need green paper for the leaves, white paper or felt for the petals. And now I've cut some felt petals out there because I'm going to have a go with felt. And again, a piece of crepe paper for your fringe, which again you cut into your stamens. This is, so you cut it into a fringe. This is going to be a lot quicker, said she, hopefully. Now I think I might use one of the pipe cleaners for a stem on this. So I'm going to use a bit of pipe cleaner just because I'm thinking I will use the glue stick rather than the hot glue because the hot glue is still charging. So again, you just glue along your uncut edge of it. It's not going to come out. It is a little difficult putting glue onto crepe paper because, as I say, it's quite delicate. Right, so and then put your stem on and roll it around like we did with the daffodil. It is actually easier to roll around the pipe cleaner, but it's not sticking as well. I don't know what's happened there. Let me just start again with that. You just need a hint of yellow with a snowdrop because it doesn't really show that much. So we'll just go with that much. Okay, and then taking your white paper, cut a strip of white paper that's about half an inch. Well, that's about an inch. And we're going to concertina it like we did earlier, but quite small. So we're doing it about half an inch, about a centimetre. So this is going to make our inner petals. And we need, again, 4 or 5. And we're cutting it in the same way as we did the daffodil petals, but it needs to be a little bit more rounded shape. So that's the shape. Okay, and that should, oh, you know, I did this yesterday. I don't know how I did it. I must have folded it wrong because it didn't come out as a concertina. That bit's dropped off, but that'll be enough. So again, we're going to glue the edge of each petal. If it tears like that, don't panic. And then you're going to stick that round, and you're going to go round and round and round to create the inner core. This isn't working with the glue stick. Very sorry. Apologies, everybody. I'm going to put the glue back on, and we'll use the hot glue. Right, we'll start again. And I'll put the glue on the pipe cleaner. So that is so much better. And luckily, I have got here's one I made earlier for the inner petals. And again, I'm just going to glue it at the beginning, wrap it round. Probably won't need all of these. This is quite a long one, but we want to just angle it slightly so the yellow is disappearing. And as we go, kind of pinch it at the bottom so that the petals do splay out just a little bit. The glue's dried. Keep rolling it round and pinching it as you go. I think that'll be enough. So we'll cut that there and just pinch that last one round. So what you can see we've got is like a bud with a yellow centre. I'm just going to trim a little bit of that yellow off because it is quite... Now, the outer petals we need to cut separately, but we're going to use the same method. So you use a wider piece. This piece is about 1.5 inches, and you want 3. So you just need to do a couple of folds. And again, we're not going to worry about cutting from the bottom, leaving the bottom cut. We're going to cut a shape very similar to what we cut earlier, except it's going to have slightly a flat bottom. So this is what we've got, that's a proper petal shape. Now what you can do now is, if you have a green felt tip, a light green, you just put a few veins on one side of your paper, and then when you glue them on, glue them with that side down, and you can see it comes up. Oh, you can't really see very well, but it comes up very faint. So we're going to glue where we put the green pen. Pinch that in. Can you see? It's like that. And then glue the next petal and lay that on opposite the other one. Pinch it so that they splay out a little bit. And then your final petal, they should just be slightly overlapping your petals. I might put another one on. So that's our, can you see our snowdrop flower? Now, leaves. Snowdrop's leaves are quite long and narrow. So I'm going to fold that over about 1/2 inch. I don't think I cut any of these earlier. And just cut it into a long, narrow shape. All the leaves go on in the same way as well. They all just wrap around the stem. If you wanted to, you could use a ball-ended tool like this and just put a vein in your leaf by just running it up, but it's not necessary. And again, you put the glue at the bottom and just squeeze it round. Hold it tight till it's set. Just going to say hello to Jan. It's Jan's first time. You can just run your thumb like that and give it a little bit of an outward curl. I'm not going to put the other leaf on because my glue again is rejected. So that is, I don't know whether you can, how well you can see that. It just doesn't really show against my white jumper, but that's just snowdrop. So how much time have we done? Right, moving rapidly on, I'm going to show you the grape hyacinth. After this, because I'll be finishing very shortly, I put the rest on my webpage, which is www.whatkate-made-today, and I'll put them on my Facebook page. Actually, that would be better. So if you just search on Facebook for What Kate Made, So the grape hyacinth is going to be using a paper straw, like the one we made earlier. I'm just going to snip the end of it so that green bit disappears. Now, this is, again, you're going to use glue. This is a strip of blue felt. It's about 1 inch wide. You want to, it's the same method, it's a slightly different method with paper. So I may show you the paper first, except I can't find the paper. Right, we'll just do it with the felt. You're going to fold it in half and you're going to run a very, very narrow bit of glue along the fold, along the edge, sorry, not the fold. You want the fold to be glue free because you're going to cut it again later. So, and then you stick that over to form a sort of tube, a flat tube if you like, if that makes sense. The glue's drying before I can get to it. It's the same method as I say with paper. You can make it the same. Right, so what we've got now is a strip that is glued on one edge and then it's got a folded over edge. So, sorry, I've got glue all over my nails now. On the folded over edge, we're going to snip about 3 millimeters and only down as far as where the glue is. Can you see? Yeah. And we're going to do it all the way to the end. If you prefer a smaller bloom on it, then you just make your strip a bit shorter. But where we're making the snips are going to make the little bobbles, because they will kind of push out. Sorry, I am going to need that glue, so I need to put it back on. Next time I do a demo, I love my cordless glue gun because you don't know cords. But next time I do a demo, I might use the one with a wire on it, a plug-in one, because then I know it'll be hot all the time. So nearly at the end. Now, what we're going to do now is just push these so they become round again, because they've got flattened. And then when we coil it, they'll stand out. My glue gun is died. I can show you the principle of it. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some double-sided tape because I can start it off with this. So this is double-sided tape. I'm just going to cut a bit of this. And stick it onto the felt. As I say, you're much better off using glue if you can get your glue gun to work. So with double-sided tape, you just peel off the backing and it leaves a sticky bit there. So you take your straw and you stick it on at an angle and then you coil it round and round, making sure that the cut bit overlaps the uncut bit. It's a little awkward to get going. So you're basically coiling it at an angle, and you can see as you coil it that you can fluff them out a little bit. The little cuts you made become little loops, if you like, and then you go all the way down as far as you want, really. It depends on how big you want your grape hyacinth to be. I think that's about enough. Come the summer, it's a very similar method for making lavender. So you can use it to make lavender. Now I'm just going to put another little bit of tape on this to stick it shut. Normally you would put glue all the way down if you were using a glue gun. I'm just going to stick that onto the paper stem because it will be easier to get it to stick. And then peel the backing off. I don't use double-sided tape very often because I'm not good with the backing and it's painful watching me trying to get it off. Right, so that's stuck it down. So I'm just going to trim it a little bit at the end because can you see I've just got a bit of green straw showing. So I'm just going to trim that. And I'm just going to trim the edge of the felt there where it's just sticking up a little bit. So that's your grape hyacinth. The leaves are the same on this as they are on everything else. They're just small pieces of felt about that size. And I think that's really pretty. These are one of my favourite spring flowers. So I'll just quickly show you the paper version of it. Now, as you can see, paper version is slightly different. This one is the method that I tried last night. And instead of sticking the paper together, you cut a fringe and then you curl each one, which is quite time consuming. But you could do this method with paper as well. Okay, so what time are we on? I think I've run out of time. Let me just pop you back up. Now, I don't want to run into somebody else's class. So those are three. Those three flowers will make a beautiful little spring bouquet. As I said, I will do video clips for the anemone and the tulip and the cherry blossom on my Facebook page. What Kate Made, Kate's Design and Craft. So if you search on Facebook for that, you might find the link in the, oh, I've just popped it up now, in the comments. If we can pop the link in the comments as well, that'd be great. So I'll put short video demonstrations for the other things on there. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope your mothers enjoy the flowers if you're giving them to your mum. As I say, my mother will be watching, so she won't get a surprise. I'm gonna use mine on my postbox topper. If you like my page, you'll be able to see it when it pops up on the pictures of the postbox topper for spring. Okay, so that's me done for today. I am very dry, so I'm going to go and get a cup of tea. Thank you everybody for watching. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have. And any flowers you make, pop pictures up, put them on my Facebook feed, put them on the Virtual Village Halls feed. Let's just have a look. So this is Kate saying goodbye, and I'll see you again soon.